Hello, and today we're going to talk about Verbs 101. So, how do you use verbs? And this is really for adults to improve writing skills. So, a lot of this is going to be review, but I really want you to take advantage of all of this information, and that means getting out a pencil and a piece of paper and taking as many notes as you can. I really encourage you to try your best to pause whenever there's new information and to take the time to write it down. This is a ton of information, and you won't want to go back and rewatch this video 1,000 times to get all of it. So just do yourself a favor, get out a pencil and paper right now, and get ready to take some notes. So let's begin with verbs. Verbs 101. Verbs are action words, and that means that they help you know what action the person or thing is doing. So it starts with the subject, a person or thing doing the action, and then you add the verb, and that's the action they are doing. It's an action word. So, for example, I am talking to you and you are listening. I am the subject, talking is the verb, you are the subject, and listening is the verb. If any of this is new, write it down. And remember, you can pause the video to do that. And I'm going to keep moving on. So, let's start with simple verbs. Simple verbs are really verbs that you use all the time. And they come in 3 different tenses: the present, the past, and the future. So think of it as if you're climbing up a mountain. The bottom of the mountain is where you've been. It's in the past. The present is where you are on the mountain. Maybe you're halfway up. And then the future is where you want to go. It's like the peak of the mountain. So when you talk about things in the past, you're using past tense verbs because you're talking about where you were when you were in the bottom of the mountain. In the present, you're talking about things that are right now. And so you're talking about the present moment. And the future is talking about what you will happen or what you hope will happen in a future time. So let's start with the present. In the present tense, you have the subject and the verb. For example, I, you, we, or they are some examples of subjects. I being the singular first person, you, that could be singular or multiple of you, we, they, those are examples of subjects, and then whatever the verb is in the most simple form. So I walk, you forget, we say hi whenever we see each other. Basically, it's the subject and then the verb. Except for in third person singular. So third person singular is when you are talking about a person or a thing, and that person or thing is doing the action. And that's what third person means. It's singular when that person or thing doing the action is also just a singular one person or thing. So, for example, third person singular, you could have he, such as maybe you're talking about somebody named Robert or Mr. Mistopheles. She, maybe you're talking about Maria. A third person singular subject, or really any subject, can be multiple words. So don't get confused if there's more than one word. That could still just be one subject. For example, my mailman's daughter's cousin's girlfriend. Still talking about one person. So if she, meaning my mailman's daughter's cousin's girlfriend, is the one doing the action, it's a third person singular subject. It could be the dog, could be the IRS, or it could be a whole country, like the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So when you have a third person singular subject, then you just add an S to the verb. So when I say I run pretty fast, but then my brother, that's a third person singular subject. Ian, he runs faster. So at the end of that word run, we add that S. Sometimes you add an ES or an IES. If the verb ends in 2 S's, a CH, or an SH, then you add ES, like in fishes, like my dad fishes, or watches, like my grandpa watches too much TV, or confesses, like the convict confesses to the crime. If the verb ends in an O, you add an ES, like in does. He does a good job, or goes. She goes to the bathroom after lunch. Or Y, you add an IES, like in tries, like he tries new food, or flies, like the bird flies into the window. So here's an example. Samuel, that's a third person singular subject, does well when he tries. So you have that ES at the end of does and IES at the end of tries. But then when it's not a third person singular subject, you just go back to the regular plain old verb, such as I do poorly in school if I watch too much TV. I hope that you're pausing to take notes if this is new information for you. And I am moving on. So there are two exceptions. Well, there might be more than two exceptions, but these are two exceptions that I think are important. For example, to have. In the word to have, when you have that third person singular, it goes from have, as in like I have or you have, to has, as in he, she, or it has. And then when you have to be, such as I am, is the first person singular version of to be, which is crazy because that sounds nothing like the word be, but be in the first person is just am. In most of the other tenses, you, we, or they, it changes to are, as in you are, we are, they are, and then in third person singular, it changes to is, as in he is, she is, or it is. Think of how weird it would sound if you said, they is going to the store. Crazy. No, it's they are going to the store, or if it's third person singular, he is going to the store. All right, so that is the present tense. Woohoo, we did it. Let's jump into the past tense now. So these are things that have already happened, and I'm already giving you a hint. It's a subject, it's a verb, and then it's ed at the end of the verb. So you just tack on to whatever the verb is an E and a D. For example, I watched, you questioned, we experienced, they turned, or he, she, or it listened. We just have an ed at the end of the verb to turn it into past tense. But there are exceptions, and sadly, there are a lot of exceptions. So here is a list of 101 irregular past tense verbs that are exceptions to that rule. If these are new to you, I know it's crazy, but take a moment, pause, and write them down. At the very least, read through all of them, but that will mean pausing the video. And I am moving on. I want to take a look really quick at this verb to be, because it's a little bit different in that it's not just different in the third person singular, but also in the first person singular. So when I say I, it changes to was. When I say he, she, or it, the third person singular, it also changes to was. And the other forms, it's were, such as you were, they were, or we were. Here's an example. Wow, I can't believe I was at the same restaurant that you owned. Were you there at the same time that I was? So you can see that when the subject is I, the verb to be in the past is was. When the subject is you, it's were. Oof. All right, and here's the good news. Unlike in real life, in verbs, the future is easy. So let's go. In the future tense, you take the subject, you add a helping word, will, and then the verb. So whenever you add just a helping verb, it's also called an auxiliary verb. In case you ever hear that, it's the same thing. And it just means that that verb pretty much stays the same, which makes it easy for you. So for example, I will paint my room eventually. You will take a shower after you get home from basketball. If If you've ever had a teenage son, you might have said that. And even in more formal writing, all of these rules still apply. So, for example, the people of Venezuela will look forward to an era of healing under new leadership. The people of Venezuela is the subject, will is the helping verb, and look is the verb. Easy. So those are simple verb tenses. Hang in there. We are going to go through all of the rest of these types of verbs in separate videos. You are awesome.